Hello fellow Kenyans, we have seen that Azimio have requested their following to show up for Saba come 7th of July of this year 2023. And you can imagine how cunning Ruto can be, that the same bill, the finance bill that is causing all this unrest, see, he has again made sure that the courts reject the same bill after Azimio faction has called out for mass action. And we even had Raila talking about civil disobedience. So this is my question. Can't you see that Ruto is playing games with the opposition? He's pushing buttons whenever he needs to. He's making them make mistakes and then pulling back, because the reason for this Saba Day demonstration was because of the finance bill, and their intentions are just hidden behind the finance bill. But again, the courts have decided to withhold that particular bill. Now, first of all, I would like to also tell you something about Saba. Back in 1990, July of 7th, at Kamukunji, where Kenyans said enough is enough. This was during the Moi regime, where there was the need and the demand. Kenyans were saying that they want freedom of association, they want the freedom of speech, they want a full democracy, and they needed a constitutional change, where Kenya was at the brink of despair. And they went to Kamukunji, and this rebellion, or rather this revolt or this demonstration, was led by people like Raila Odinga, Kenneth Matiba, Rubia, Wanyoike, Charles Rubia, that is. And we had vocal leaders like Koigi Wamwere. We had even the religious leaders like Timothy Njoya. And you can see that there was an organization and there was a reason for this demonstration. And the reasons are solid, not as compared to what we're having at the moment. What I'm trying to tell you is that the Saba coming on 7th July might not work as what we had on 7th July 1990. Because the reasons are not there. The reasons are not so concentrated for Kenyans to go out there, apart from the the high cost of living, which is all over the world. The dollar against the shilling, that's the main problem. It's happening everywhere in the world. And even Raila himself said back then, when there was the handshake, that life is hard all over the world. Now, why did Saba that happened in 1990 work? Before the 7th of July, leaders who were leading the opposition were arrested on 4th July. That is 3 days before there was the unrest. Charles Rubia was arrested, Matiba Kenneth was arrested, Raila Odinga was arrested, and we saw a riot that lasted for 4 days. A riot that lasts for 4 days is not a joke. And Saba in 1990 left 21 people dead, and more than 1,000 individuals who participated in the demonstrations were jailed. Now, compare what we had in 1990 and what we have in 2023, and we can see that already what was to be the main cause of people to go out there to demonstrate on July of 7th July of 2023 was the finance bill, and it has been withheld by the High Court. You see, now that's where the interesting part comes in. Ruto is not the kind of politician you play with. He knows his cards. He knows who to call. And remember that he made the judiciary independent. He made the police independent. As the first chose, immediately he got sworn in. Now, let me expound more on Saba. This was actually just after the fall of the Berlin Wall back in Germany, which was there since 1961, to 1989. The Berlin Wall was destroyed in 1989, and we had the Saba in 1990, July 7th. The Berlin Wall and the fall of it reshaped the world politics. And why Saba? It was said that, it was believed that the Lancaster Constitution, which was there right after our independence, Kenyans came in and said, no, this was not legitimate because it was not subjected to a referendum by Kenyans. It was written by the British and it was ratified by Kenyatta. And Kenya African Democratic Union did not want that constitution. And therefore, in 1964, amendments were made, and these took away the powers from the parliament, from the police, from the judiciary, and made an imperial president, which was Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Now, what we saw in 1982, which was an attempted coup, which brought in the full dictatorship from Moi, who was affected. His trust was broken when we had an attempted coup, which actually failed under the General Mohammed Mahmoud. And I can tell you for sure that the attempted coup changed how Moi reigned. And he, immediately after the coup in 1982, he went ahead to bring about what we called the Section 2 during the independence era, whereby it went against multipartyism and it put Kenya into a position that we could only have a single party ruling the country. We had the likes of Koigi wa Wamwere and the 7 bearded sisters, who were named by Charles Njonjo, which was an alarm to the government to inform them that we have people within government who are enemies of progress, enemies of the state. When multipartyism came in, Moi believed that Kenya was not mature enough to be a multi-party, because he believed that multipartyism in a young kind of a state brings about political groups. And this saw us getting into what we call the Saba, which took place on 7th of July 1990. And this is nothing close to what we are about to have in 2023, because the finance bill, which was the main trigger, it was the main provocation, has been withheld by the courts. Thank you so much. Till we meet again. This is Omami.